Chat, I have a video that I would like to react to, but I want to watch this video on stream and share my thoughts on it a little bit, because this is actually a topic that I've wanted to like talk about on YouTube, like in a video for a little while now, and I kind of just haven't gotten around to finishing the script. The video is called "Modern Gaming Has Become More and More Isolated." Basically, it talks about like, actually, you know what, we're just gonna watch the video.
If you grew up playing online games in the late 2000s, especially on console, you are a lucky person. Experiencing the growth of things like Xbox Live and even PlayStation Online was an extremely special time, and honestly something that if you missed out on, cannot really be replicated. While you'll still find plenty of clips from that time of people harassing each other in a COD pregame lobby or whatever other various game chats, there was also a whole other side of gaming where people literally just made friends in game chat.
Yo, how's everybody doing today? Doing pretty goddamn good. Yourself?
Almost everyone at that time used their crappy free Xbox headset, and it made online games feel, well, alive. Compare this to today, where between party chats, discords, and people who don't even bother to plug in their mic, online gaming has become a surprisingly lonely experience. For example, take any multiplayer game today. You can take a pick whatever your fancy is, launch it up and do a little test. Most likely you're going to end up with a ton of lobbies that have nobody talking in them, or at best maybe one or two other people. Sure, there are exceptions to this, as some games have retained slightly more life in them than others, but for the most part, multiplayer gaming can almost be a single player experience in modern games. Sure, you are technically playing against real people, but without that level of social interaction, is it really much different than facing an advanced bot? Obviously, there is someone on the other side of that death screen or kill cam. However, at the end of the day, how much of a difference does that really make to you, the player? This gets even muddier, as some games will even fill up lobbies using bots disguised as real players. Now don't get me wrong, there are many things that have gotten better about multiplayer gaming in recent years, but this is purely talking about how it feels, as in many cases, online gaming has become a much more secluded experience. While online gaming had existed for many years prior, the rise of Xbox Live is when it felt like multiplayer gaming was really starting to hit the mainstream instead of being more geared toward that hardcore audience. Xbox Live was first made available on November 15th of 2002, but it was really when Halo 2 dropped in 2004 that it seemed to take Xbox Live to that next level, and it—
Bro, I was born in 2005. I thought I was born like right before the first Halo game came out. Shit, I was well. Yeah.
Only grew bigger and more powerful as the next generation of consoles would roll out. By this point, it was fairly easy to play multiplayer games on your Xbox. Just plug in an Ethernet cord or go buy one of those handy dandy Wi-Fi adapters, purchase Xbox Live or use a free trial, and hop onto one of the many games that supported multiplayer, equipped with that free microphone that you had provided to you by Microsoft. Now,
Dude, I remember like way back in the day when I used to buy like, you know, did anyone used to buy like when you would buy games and like CDs, like physical game discs, in the box they would have like a free trial for some game or just straight up Xbox Live. Dude, I remember hunting for those at like my friends' houses and stuff. Like trying to get just an extra week. Or like an extra free game. Those were the days, man.
Now let's be honest, that mic and just general voice chat quality was absolute cheeks back then. But the experience of having a full lobby of people yelling into their mic feels like an experience that almost never happens anymore.
Dude, did I hit those notes? I feel like I hit those notes pretty well.
Even things like proximity chat in the new Warzone seem to be getting used less and less as people realize it gives away your presence. It wasn't uncommon during these times to make new online friends just by hopping into whatever your game of choice was at the time.
You know, as their agent, I really appreciate you connecting with your fans on Xbox Live.
Xbox Live Gold has a great community of gamers. That's how I met Dolores.
Shut your pie hole, pretty boy. Let's dance.
And to help you out with this came the fully fleshed out Xbox Live UI that included things like text and voice messages and a friends list that was
The
only
old
a
Xbox
short couple
360
clicks away.
layout.
One factor that made these games
Oh,
feel
man.
so much more lively back then on console was that there was no Discord or party chat at the time. You had two choices: use game chat or one-on-one private chat. So most people, especially if they were playing with more than one friend, would end up just hanging out in game chat and talking about the game or literally whatever else they were having conversations about. I have so many memories of just having those random conversations with people that I may have never talked to or played with again. But it was those random conversations that you would kind of stumble into that would turn into friends you would play with on a regular basis. While don't get me wrong,
Relaxing
there
and
was
playing
definitely
MP is
some
just wild.
toxicity that went on in these game chats. For the most part, it was just a bunch of people trying to play a game they enjoyed and maybe shoot the shit while playing. Today, these experiences are so few and far between because even if people happen to be using game chat, which is a rarity, it's usually restricted to just the game itself. Callouts for enemies, bitching you died, etc, etc. Microphone etiquette was also something that wasn't so common during those times, so you'd run into hilarious situations where someone would be getting yelled at in the background of a room, or maybe just having a conversation with their buddy. During this time too, you definitely had sweating and tryharding that existed, but at the same time, games felt much more casual, since systems like matchmaking or SBMM were in a much more primitive state. So in many cases, the people playing these games felt much more like communities than they do today. This sort of community still persists today, in my opinion, in some PC games, especially games that still utilize a server browser. For example, if you ever hop onto an older Battlefield, or maybe even something like Day of Defeat, and pick a server, you'll end up in this weird experience where it feels like you've hopped back in time, and you'll just end up playing with people that are just playing the game and having conversations, much more similar to that earlier era than today's games, which are increasingly silent and punishing. This quote-unquote era of gaming all ended in 2008, and this was when the big patch hit where Microsoft introduced the feature Party Chat. While Party Chat style systems like TeamSpeak or Ventrilo already had existed on PC for quite some time, this was the first time that players on console no longer had to communicate in game chat and could just sit in a party chat with two of their buddies while playing. However, the console experience was still very different than that of PC. While on PC, one can sit on a TeamSpeak or now a Discord and set up push-to-talk buttons for the different voice communications, when you were on console, it was all or nothing. You either sat in game chat or you sat in party chat. There wasn't the combination of the two. So because of this, as people migrated toward those party chats, game chat became an absolute ghost town on consoles. The days of just meeting people by playing games became more and more rare, and this has only gotten worse as time has gone on, as it seems like more and more players
Dude,
these
Apex
days
is the
are
worst
content just
case
chilling
of
in a
like
Discord or
interacting
on a
with
party
people.
chat, overusing the in-game.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. Apex is the worst game for interacting with people because the only way to find people to play with is through Discord. You can't add enemies. You can add teammates, but 9 times out of 10, if a teammate talks, it's how bad you're doing and how it's your fault that they went down first. Let's be completely honest. Like 9 times out of 10, that's the reason. And yeah, especially, you'll literally have players that don't even talk until they're dead, and then once they die, suddenly they're piping up. No way to add enemies. There's no way to find other players to play with through the game, so you have to go to Discord. All anyone wants is non-season 16, non-season 12 masters, 4K 20 bomb, farming bot lobbies, glitch, be good, have 7-inch penis, like what? Like no one plays. Like looking for a group in video games, it's just a popular, not a popularity. It's just a skill contest. No one wants to play games with people just because games are fun. People want to play games with other people that are good, and hopefully they're also funny and get to entertain you. That's all anyone wants, is they want to be entertained. They don't want to be the person entertaining like back in the day. Back in the day, you know, there were people that were just trying to cut up and be loud. Those people, you know, got silenced or with their friends and their own cliques. And anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, Apex is the worst game for finding other people to talk to.
Chat.
That was
These
the
days,
moral of the
outside
story.
of using a third party looking for group service or joining a bunch of different discords, it's honestly pretty rare to really meet new people by playing games. And while don't get me wrong, those services are very nice, nothing will ever beat those times of just launching up a game and chatting with a whole lobby of random people about literally anything while playing the game.
Okay, we got Paintballer and Kitty on the same team. This is not gonna. This is oil and water, bro. Oil and fucking water, dude.
Oh, he loves each other. I love him.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
But does he love you?
Yes.
Hey, Paintballer, do you love Kitty?
I don't know.
Hey, fuck you. I love you.
I don't know.
The feeling of camaraderie while playing games has also been hurt by the introduction of stricter and stricter skill-based matchmaking. Now, this isn't a video about skill-based matchmaking, and maybe I'll do a whole separate one, but skill-based matchmaking definitely has its pros and its cons. However, the con that I want to focus on in this video is that it's going to make every game you play feel fairly quote-unquote sweaty regardless of your skill level. And this is due to the fact that it's trying to match you up with people that are of equivalent skill to you, so you're usually always going to be challenged. This is very much at a detriment to that old feeling of sort of just chilling in a COD lobby and shooting the shit while maybe trying to get your KD up. You'd have people of all sorts of skills that were in the same lobby, whereas now a low SPM
this guy got
lobby
kicked.
and shooting the
Yo,
shit while maybe trying to get your KD up.
Wait,
You'd have
look,
people of all
homie
sorts of
got
skills that were
kicked
in
from
the
his
same
party.
lobby.
Poor Shadow, dude. Shadow XX360. Homie got kicked from his party.
Whereas now, a low SBMM lobby is going to be so wildly different from a high SBMM lobby that they are pretty much unrecognizable to each other. When you think about it, even something as simple as sending and accepting invites to and from random or more distant players was a much more common trend back in the day. Today, where most players are very unlikely to accept invites from people they don't recognize, accepting an invite to a Halo 3 lobby or even a COD lobby was almost common practice.
Could also invite somebody without being friends with them back then and just play a game or two with them and then never talk to them again.
During these older times, you just accept the invite and see what was there. Maybe it was a fun customs lobby, or maybe it was people just playing pubs. But regardless, you just roll the dice.
Dude, I remember the days. Oh my god, I just got a flashback, bro. I remember the days of being in a BO2 lobby with like 9 people and we needed 12 and just going through, inviting my entire recent player's history. Dude, does anybody else remember that? Like going through your recently played with and just hitting the invite button, just invite, do every single one on the whole 50 player list and just hoping you got enough people to start the game with an even team. Dude, oh my god.
And see what you were going to get yourself into. The act of getting messages was also a much different experience. If you were around, you'll remember M2AF, which was literally a message you would send to your entire friends list, or message to all friends. Maybe it was because you changed your gamer tag, or you were hosting tryouts for your clan, or maybe you were just going on vacation for a couple weeks and wanted to let everyone on your friends list know. Literally, you would get these messages on a regular basis about a whole slew of different things. But it wasn't just the friends list and the chats that were so different back in the day. The simple act of finding matches these days is so much different. While during this time, many games did have matchmaking similar to the games today, a lot of games also had persistent lobbies or had features that made it a lot easier to re-queue with the same players that you just played with. This was on top of games that still utilized server browsers or lobby browsers, so all in all, you were much more likely to play
is this? Is
multiple
this-
games with these same
Is
people
this New
on
Vegas?
a game-to-game
Or, like,
basis.
this is Tom Clancy's
Compare
game, I know
this to
that.
today, where basically every time you queue into a match, it's going to be a completely fresh
Bro, this guy we're
lobby of
watching literally has mute voice chat enabled.
new faces other than your existing
And
party that
TTV
you
in his name. Oh, it's the guy that made the video.
may have queued into the lobby with. Very few new games today maintain lobbies between games anymore, or use things like a server browser outside of some exceptions like the server browser in Halo. So this means you're no longer playing multiple games with the same people. So in the past, while you might chill in the same COD lobby for hours as people came and went, and you'd still be there playing with and against the same core group of people if they happen to stay in that lobby, now besides your own party, it's going to be new people basically every single game. And what this does is it gives you even less of an incentive to bother talking to people in game chat, because
True.
in reality, they're all going to be gone after that game anyways. Many games have made these changes for convenience. Or
Bro,
in some
Doom
cases,
multiplayer
probably some
arena was
back-end
so slept
statistic
on.
that shows that these changes and features lead to things like higher player attention. And this seems to be what developers are prioritizing.
Use your rocket,
But
bro.
this
Use
is
your
at the
rocket.
cost of that feeling of camaraderie and social interaction that many of these multiplayer games once had. I mentioned skill-based matchmaking earlier, but it isn't skill-based matchmaking alone that makes these games feel so sweaty and try-hard at times. Some of this comes down to the fact that there's literally nothing else to play for.
True.
You aren't playing to make friends.
Hyper, baby. It's a food delivery service in your game. It's so sick. You could set it so you click a million buttons. You can make keybinds for it.
Or hang out with people on a server for hours. Instead, you are just playing to improve your stats, grind through a battle pass, or whatever other challenges you might be trying to finish. And it's that experience that's going to get increasingly sweaty as players are all off in their own
This guy's
party
settings
chats
are terrible.
or just playing by themselves. Unfortunately, there really seems like nothing will change this trend of online games getting increasingly lonely. As companies prioritize things like money and whatever other analytics lead them to make more money, that feeling of community in these games is getting lost. At the end of the day, we're just another number to fill up a server to make sure the gears of these games keep turning and the microtransactions keep getting bought. Recently,
That's
we
true.
had a glimpse.
It's weird how like the change in game development has gone from, oh, we have to make a good game to make money, and now it's, oh, we have to cram as much time in between games so that they see these transactions, and like it's weird how that has like changed from the game being good equals money, and that's what they prioritize, to all these other things inside the game are what is used to make money. It's just kind of weird to
into
me.
the past of what that fun camaraderie could be, and that was with proximity chat in Warzone 2.
I don't want to shoot you guys on accident.
I'm gonna go heartbeat him. I'm gonna go heartbeat him.
Oh, he's right here. He's to the left. He's to the
Where?
left. To the left, down the hill, to the left.
Oh, yeah.
170. 170.
Shoot him! I got a sniper rifle.
Oh, yo.
This showed some of the fun sides of the interactions you can have when you have a lot of people using in-game voice chat. And these used to be on a regular basis. You'd have interactions like this with your teammates or enemies in almost every single
Dude, BO2 S&D lobbies were always insta-queues up until, like, Black Ops 3 came out. However many years later, like 2 or 3 years later. Because of how, maybe even further than that, maybe even IW. Because, dude, BO3 S&D lobbies were too, but BO2, remember you were forced into game chat. And that was what made it so fun. You had to talk to the other people, including the enemy team, and it made it so much more fun.
game. Now, they might not be exactly like the Warzone interactions.
I mean, I was
because
never
not
much of an
every
S&D
game
guy, but I
has,
do
like,
vaguely remember
proximity
that.
Chat, but things like lobby chat pre and post game and having a lot more players in the game chat itself during the game led to a lot of the same style of interactions that you were seeing from these proximity chat clips. But unfortunately, even these proximity chat clips seem to be losing their novelty as more and more people are just turning it off in favor of just sitting in a party chat or a Discord with their friends or party members.
Or like,
in this video, I'm most
even now, like Fortnite literally has like an option in game chat to only talk to your party and not the other people you're queuing. So if you're duo queuing or trio queuing squads, like you don't have to talk to them. The randoms.
Mostly focused on what you could kind of sum up as the standard AAA title multiplayer experience, especially when you're playing on console. However, this feeling of isolation is spread almost industry-wide, especially in AAA gaming. Even MMOs like World of Warcraft have gone down the route of convenience and quality of life features over the social interaction that they heavily leaned on in the past, which is why modern WoW can almost be played as a single player game until maybe the very end game when you might want to find a proper raid group. Besides that, things like the Dungeon Finder, the Raid Finder, and the Group Finder can get you by just fine for any cases when you do need another player. And you can run through all these different scenarios with basically little interaction or none between the players that it's going to throw you into a party with. Just queue up for a dungeon or a raid, run around and throw some abilities until you complete it, and then go on your separate way. Very similar to what it feels like to play a game of Fortnite or Apex in the modern day.
Yeah.
Queue into the game, run around, pick up some loot, shoot some things, and end the game, and then go on your separate way and never see or talk to those players that you played
That
with
loop,
again.
bro.
I
That
don't really
loop.
believe there is
the
much we
COD
can even do at this
popularized.
point.
COD and
Many of
Halo,
these
to be
same
honest,
features that
popularized.
take away from the
The
community
loop of
aspect.
just go in game, pick up a gun, shoot somebody, die, respawn, pick up a gun, shoot somebody, game ends, repeat. That loop has just like made games so dry. Even in games like Valorant, which are like more focused on like what's it called? Which are games more focused on what is the word I'm looking for? Holy crap. Like constant skill, I think it's called, or something like that. It's something like constant skill that like retains after every game.
Of online gaming
With like
are also
VOD reviewing and
convenient
stuff.
quality of life changes, so it would basically be a regression in technology if we were to go back on some of these aspects. However, we have seen in the case of World of Warcraft, with something like classic World of Warcraft, that there is a huge market for these more heavily social interaction and
I mean, yeah, hell, let loose. Squad or games that you just like have to talk to your like teammates. Oh, whoops! I did that.
community-driven games. So online gaming is still a great outlet for many, and while things like Discord are very convenient, I do have to sit sometimes and relish how online gaming felt during those lesser polished times.
Yeah, good video. W a rash. I like it. Really good video. He really touched on a lot of things. I wish he went more on the I wish one thing I do wish he said was while we're here. One thing I do wish he said was talking about the toxicity of games, how like when people do use voice chat now, 9 times out of 10 it's literally just to talk shit and like make you feel like a worse human because you're holding that other player back or whatever, and it's like I think that's dumb. I mean, I still do it, but I do it